Yo, what's up everybody? So there is a serious lack of Gibson Thunderbird bass videos online to show these up close. This is my 2019 and I want to give you guys a super in-depth look at the bass, and we'll show the case. I'll show you what it sounds like, talk about what I think of it and all that. Let's start off with the case here though. So this is plywood and Tolux construction, made by TKL in Canada. It's got it's pretty easy to tear, so that if that bothers you, that's definitely a downside. It's really easy to tear, actually. We got some fake leather on the sides here. The clamps were not put on evenly. You can kind of see on this one how it's uneven, and when you go to clamp it, it kind of levels itself out. Usually, it's starting to get used to where it's at, but they just didn't do a very good job putting those on. You'd think they have a jigger or something for that. The handle is much more padded than the Les Paul guitar cases. It's actually really nice. I don't know how long it'll last because it seems kind of... They're all kind of like that with the Gibsons. I don't know. Trogley would probably know. The inside's really nice though. Really nice soft carpeting. This one does not have the nice vanilla smell that they used to. I think they stopped doing that in 2018 for whatever reason. I did email, because there's a big controversy whether the vanilla smell comes from the guitar or the case. I emailed both Gibson and TKL, and they both told me that sometimes they use vanilla extract to create that smell. So I guess it's both. It's definitely not the nitro paint itself. Nitro smells awful if you've ever smelled it. They add vanilla in there somewhere. So in this case, we have a really nice big storage compartment. Really cool. So the case candy came with this nice leather strap. It's pretty thin leather, but I actually really like these. They're kind of bendy. Comes with these cool multi-tools you can use. This is the truss rod tool right here. I actually personally prefer just the plain, it's just one of these with a screwdriver on the other side, but it's cool they come with these and they're branded and everything, so that's pretty cool. These ones came with black bags. We've got the baby picture. We've got a polishing cloth, owner's manual, which is, I think, all English. Yeah, it's all English. And that's that. We've got the inspection checkoff list, which I don't think they should have crossed a couple of these off, but we'll get to that. And the warranty card. And that's what this bass came with out of the factory. So, the bass itself, we have mahogany wings. We've got a neck through, which is mahogany with some walnut streamers. It's a 9-piece, I believe. The horrible 3-point bridge, I'll get to that in a minute. We've got 2 volume controls which line up. This is for the neck pickup, this is for the bridge, and a master tone, obviously a pickguard. Rosewood fingerboard, we'll get to that in a minute. This has got the regular nickel frets. They are not chirogenically treated, and I can tell the difference between these and the ones on my 2018 Studio, which does have the chiro frets, which I really like. They sound a little better and they seem to last longer. We've got a Tectoid nut, whatever that is. It's kind of chalky, weird material. The headstock obviously has this black overlay, which is beveled. You can feel, the black part is separate from the wood, which I think looks really cool. Massive truss rod cover, which is the only part on this bass with the Gibson logo. On the back here, we've got Grover tuners from the factory. They work really well. Really nice tuners, of course, they're Grovers. Really thin neck. This is like jazz bass, almost like an Ibanez Sound Gear thin. Very thin, very C-shaped, and then down here you get into a little more of a D, where the shoulders get a little thicker and the middle gets a little thinner. Kind of an interesting profile. And here you can see the neck through. And the way they did this is all one piece, so there's obviously no scarf joint or anything in the neck. We'll get to that in a minute as well. And then this is just a big chunk of the, the mahogany and the walnut plies. And then they glue these 2 wings on, and this part sticks up, which is a really interesting feature of the Thunderbird and the Firebird guitar version of this as well that I've never seen anywhere else. And you can kind of see that there. Sorry, it's a little dirty. I've been playing it. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing. We've also got the 2 ceramic Thunderbird Plus pickups. These are different from the original ones they did in the 60s, which I believe had an Alnico 5 magnet. They sounded a lot different. These sound different, but they're very unique sounding, and I really like them. Only thing I think I missed was the buttons are the regular Gibson large ones and in black, and we've got the output jack on the side. Let me pull off this control cavity cover, and let's take a look at the wiring real quick. All right, so with the cavity removed, we can see that we have 3 Gibson branded pots. They're probably 500K, I'm guessing. We've got a 47K cap, a Switchcraft output jack, and no shielding paint or tape of any kind. Same thing on the back of the cover here. The plate, it's just a plastic piece, shiny on one side, matte on the other. And there is some writing down there. It looks like it says BATZ, maybe? I don't know. I don't know what any of this means, to be honest with you. It's not clear. But that's what we got there. Alright guys, so we got a good look at this thing. Let's talk about some of the things I love and hate about this instrument. The first one is the looks. Look at this thing, dude. I mean, I guess it's not for everybody, but to me, this is the best looking design that's ever been made. And the second thing is it's super comfortable to play. It's super easy to play. It weighs probably around 8.5 pounds. I haven't actually weighed it, but based off other instruments I've had, that's about where it's at. This one balances really well on a strap, no neck dive issues at all. A lot of them have that, so look out for that. What else can I say about the playability? There's always a great place to rest your thumb. This ridge of the, the neck part of the wood that sticks up is a great place to rest your thumb if you're a fingerstyle player, and the pickups stick up nice and high, so those are really good to anchor your thumb to as well. I usually play this one with a pick, though. I normally don't like playing with a pick on a bass, but this one just, the attack that you get with it is just brutal, dude. I love the sound of it. It just sounds like rock and roll to me. And you get a really good, like, metal, like, grind, growl type sound of it as well. And this lower bout right here is a perfect place to rest your arm. When you're sitting down, it does head dive a little bit, but as soon as you rest your arm up here or your thumb somewhere, it stays put. And I'm not putting any pressure really on it at all, so it's not like gonna cramp my arm up or something. Very comfortable. And the neck, as I said, is very thin, and it's very comfortable and fast to play. No issues with the neck at all. Love it. Yeah, that's about it for the good stuff. I love the nitro paint. I love the way it feels on my hand. I like the way it feels a lot better than gloss poly for sure. It does age better, but it ages a lot quicker. Poly paint is pretty much plastic that's coated on your guitar. Nitro is also really easy to fix. We'll probably get into that in another video. So I guess we should talk about some of the design flaws of this model, which I am going to call them kind of design flaws, but at the same time you can make them work. It's not the end of the world. The first thing is the headstock breakage issue. It happens all the time on these. These are huge paddle headstocks. You could paddle a canoe with this thing if you wanted to. It's just huge. And so what happens is the grain in the neck is all going, this way with the strings basically, and then when the headstock tilts down right here, your grain is no longer going all the way from here, down to here. It's going like this, so it's really, really short, and this headstock's under a lot of tension from the strings, pulling it this way. And not only that, you've got the truss rod cavity routed out, so the wood right here is very, very thin. There's not a lot of material there. There's a lot of pressure from the strings, and this thing is huge, which gives it a ton of leverage. So if you drop this thing, it's going to snap. It happens all the time. It's fixable, but might cost you a lot of money, and it's never going to, probably not going to look the same, especially if it's natural like this. I mean, I guess you could spray the back with black, and somebody could hide it if they spend enough time, but you got to be careful with them. That's just kind of a Gibson thing. That's the way it is. Had they used a scarf joint, that wouldn't be an issue, but that's not the way they made them in the 60s, and people want them the way they were in the 60s. Second thing is the bridge. This bridge design is horrible. They used a different bridge for a couple years, I think 2015 to 17, somewhere in there. They used the Babic Z bridge system, which is leaps and bounds better than this. They're really expensive, and that's probably why they stopped using them, unfortunately. This bass is super expensive. I think they're $2,200 or $2,400, something like that. I got this one for $700, so it's like, whatever. But I absolutely loathe this bridge system. And why? Well, for one, every time you take a string off, your intonation changes because there's so much slop in here. So you've got to readjust your intonation every time, and to adjust the intonation, you've got to loosen the string, most of the way to get the saddle to move. And if you take all the strings off at the same time, the whole thing just falls off, and the posts have a bit of play inside the God dang, what's the word for that? Inside the metal piece that's inside the body, basically. So everything moves a little bit every time you mess with it, and your intonation goes off, and it just sucks. It sucks to adjust. To adjust the height, you've got to loosen all the strings, and then it's just a huge pain in the ass, basically. So there are 2 different companies that make replacements for these, and I will probably eventually be getting one because I absolutely loathe this thing. The next thing, which I've only played 2 Gibson versions of these. My Epiphone version didn't have this problem, but it had a maple neck, so that, and it was a bolt-on, so that's a different thing. The 2 Gibson versions I've played of this, listen. If you pull on the neck, it's just a noodle dick, dude. It's just so flaccid and soft. You can easily fret out an open string just by pulling on it at the nut. It's crazy. I haven't noticed that it does that while I'm playing it, but I've never felt a neck this soft. Part of that is that it's just so freaking thin. It's just super thin, and part of that is that it's mahogany. Mahogany is a lot softer than maple, and part of that is this particular fretboard. They should never have used this fretboard on an instrument. What's going on here is it's all cross grain. It's all the grain is supposed to be going with, basically with the strings. That creates nice and strong and stable, and it doesn't move very much. But what happens is it's all short grain, which lets moisture escape and enter it very easily, and it moves a lot. So that's why it's got the hump right here. That's why it's partially why it's constantly moving. So to fix that, I've got some options. I can, pull off the fretboard, put in some carbon fiber inserts on the inside of the neck. I could replace the fretboard with something like ebony, which would stiffen it up quite a bit. I could remove the frets and plane it down, to radius and everything, and then coat it with something like boiled linseed oil that'll seal in the moisture and prevent it from moving as much. I've got a few options, but that's just the way this one is. They never should have used this fretboard. I don't expect the people after milling department to be looking at the grain of the fretboard and understand that in a factory setting and understand how that could change things, but the people in milling at least screwed up, and probably final inspection too, but I'm gonna give them a pass. It is what it is. So that's basically what I love and hate about this thing. Let's check out some sound samples. Alright guys, so let's run through a couple tones with this. We're in standard tuning right now. Everything is on 10, and I'm going to use a pick. Let's do just bridge pickup, same thing. Just neck pickup. Let's do just some standard, like, we're still in neck pickup with the tone all the way up. Do just bridge pickup, tone all the way up. Neck pickup only with the tone all the way down to 0. pickups all the way up, tone, say about a 5. And just the bridge pickup with a pick, tone all the way up. We'll play it down by the bridge. And we'll do everything on 10. Just bridge pickup, same riff. You hear that like kind of like cocked wah sound? I love that. And we'll do the same thing with just the neck. Let's do a little drop D. I did have this tuned down to B standard for a while, B-E-A-D, with 130 through 90, I think, strings. Did not like it. Pickups were way too muddy. I wouldn't drop this thing below D. C, you might be okay if you're okay with a kind of muddy sound, especially with just the neck pickup. But it wasn't, I couldn't make out the notes well enough to feel comfortable using it that way. So I keep this one in standard or drop D. Let's do that on just the bridge pickup. Both. Let's get some more finger action in there. Tone all the way up, just bridge. With a pick. The pick takes away all the muddiness and adds enough attack for it to be really clear and concise and powerful and just like fucking punch you in the face, dude. It's awesome. I love this thing. It gets me excited to play this. I love playing it. Both pickups. Alright guys, that's all I got. Flawed, but fucking badass. I love this thing. See you guys next time.